What's going on, everybody? Anon here, and today I thought instead of me giving you guys a video about anime, I would give you guys a video about manga, because there are plenty of people out there who like to read, and I feel like they get underappreciated on the day-to-day. And if you're somebody that would like to get into reading manga because you don't always have time to watch anime, I think these are some really good stories that you might want to get into. So without further ado, I want to show you guys, in my opinion, the top 7 most underrated manga. Now, number 7, Gantz. Now, Gantz follows the story of a boy named Kei Kurono who gets killed and respawns in a room with a black ball and ends up having to be part of a game to kill aliens, where if you die, pretty much it's permanent. And these aliens are really fucking strong and really violent. It's a really hardcore manga, and if you're not really into a lot of blood and gore, I wouldn't really say that it should be something that you would want to check out. But the thing that makes it good to me is it shows a lot of character and story progression. And Kei grows up throughout the entire manga. He starts as like this little douchebag kid, and he becomes like really fucking cool towards the end. And it starts from a little story about in a little apartment to a story about galactic war. So definitely something you should check out. Next up on the list, we have Nijigahara Holograph. Now, this shit is literally the manga version of the Butterfly Effect. That is the only way I can put it. Like, you gotta go read it. It follows 2 separate storylines, and it's actually really short. It's about 15 issues. It's definitely something you could read in a day, but you'd have to read it a couple of times to really grasp the full meaning. It's from author Asano Inio. I believe I'm saying that right. Sorry if I butchered his name. And it's definitely something you want to check out, because he is one of my favorite authors, and he's done some great stuff. Next up, we have Kingdom. Now, if you like war and you like stuff that's gonna get your blood going, it's got a little bit of strategy, it's got a lot of action, it's got a lot of, betrayal and politics, Kingdom is your manga. There is an anime for it, but wow, the manga is incredible. It's still going, it's about 400 issues, so you have plenty to read, but it is great right now. And it follows the story of Shin and his brother, who are both slaves during the warring era of China, and after a coup, Shin works his way up the ranks of the Chinese army. So definitely something to try out if you like, time skips and just watching character progression as well. Next up, we have Liar Game. Liar Game follows the story of a college student named Now, and she receives a package for $100 million, and with her accepting it and opening it up, it's entered her into the Liar Game, where if she loses, pretty much she goes into massive debt, because at the end of the game, the company comes to your house, the company that sent you the Liar Game package, and they ask you for the $100 million back. So I'll give you an example. The company will give out $100 million to 2 people, and then they have to figure out how to get the $100 million from each other. And at the end of the game, pretty much the company comes back and asks for the $100 million back. Now, if you swindled the $100 million from somebody else, then you've got 200. You give back 1, you've got 1, you're rich. Now they're in massive debt. But this leads into a lot of controversial stuff, and the reason why it's great is because she's a really honest character, and she likes to see the good in people, and she can never lie. But there's a guy that she asks to help her named Akiyama, who's a lot like L from Death Note. If you've ever watched that and you like characters like that, it's really psychological, and it really makes you think. It's really good. Next up, we have Berserk. Jesus fucking Christ. This is Tragedy the manga. Poor Guts. There's nothing else I can say. This man, everything that can go wrong does go wrong with Guts. It's fucking unfortunate. That's all I gotta say about it. Next up, we have Monster. Now, Monster follows the story of a doctor named Dr. Tenma, who has, a bit of a morality complex. He's a brilliant surgeon, but, sometimes he has to make morally weird decisions. And one day he decides he's just gonna follow his art, and he said, fuck it. And he decides, instead of saving the mayor of his town, he's gonna save a little boy. And unfortunately, the mayor dies. But the thing is, the boy that he saved grows up to be a serial killer. So now Dr. Tenma's on a mission to go find and kill him to right his wrongs after he's, left this wake of destruction. Save one, kill many. It's a really, really psychological, really dope little manga. It's really dark. And for number one is Oyasumi Pum Pum. Don't be caught off guard by the name. Wow. This is one of the best manga I've ever read, if not the best manga I've ever read, and it's so unnoticed. It's so good. Writer Asano Inio again. I'm sorry if I butchered his name. Wow. This thing, to me, is perfect. It's beautiful. It's very depressing. It's a bit from the slice of life, and it deals with the main character, Poon Poon. It's his coming of age story, and it deals with themes of, abuse and his parents divorcing and depression, suicide, and purpose in the world. And the thing that really makes it interesting, the dynamic, is this girl that he grows up with, because it spans like the first 20 years of his life. And it's this girl that he grows up with named Aiko, and she kind of has the same mindset of him. Like, it's this destructive mindset, and they kind of like are intertwined in a way. And there's a part where she goes away and he meets another girl who kind of challenges him in a different way than she does. It's just a really interesting dynamic, and it's a bit text heavy, but for 140 something chapters, to be honest, this is the greatest thing I've ever read, and I highly recommend it for anybody. And there you guys have it, just a little video for you guys. The 7 most underrated manga, in my opinion. Subscribe.